It's time, and you've tuned into the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello, and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. I want to welcome you here today. We do have a great week. We're not interviewing people right now because the fall season has begun. That's right, the fall sports season is here. We have plenty of action that happened to start off week number 1. We'll get to that in just a moment. Want to thank our sponsors, Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Albert Hearing Services, 33 Waddell Street in Greenfield, and by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls. Want to thank our producer, John Meisner, for being here today. Also, our co-producer as well is Philippe Simone. We do it right here at GCTV. We do it every week, and we're also on the FCAT down in South Deerfield. Why don't we get right into our show? Well, I will tell you that we got things rocking and rolling here for a brand new season. The fall season is upon us, and action has begun in all of the sports except, and I will say this, except for the cross-country season. The cross-country season does begin this week. They did not have any meets last week. Why don't we get started? Last Tuesday, everything got started, rocking and rolling. It was the girls volleyball team from Turners Falls taking on East Hampton. Haley Bogus had 10 assists and 3 aces on Tuesday, and Turners kicked off the season with a nice win over East Hampton. They won the first game. It was 25-20. Second game was 25-18. Third game was 25-13. Taylor Murphy finished with 7 kills and 3 aces for the Thunder. Also, Dabney Rollins ended up with 4 kills and 1 ace. And Mercedes Morales ends up with 4 aces in the win for Turners. Well, the Pioneer Valley Christian School, their academy ended up knocking off the Franklin County Tech in Springfield on Tuesday of last week. They ended up winning 25-13, 25-20, and 25-17. Reagan Fisk had a nice opener for the Eagles. She ended up with 2 aces, 2 kills, and 2 assists, also 3 digs. Emily Miner finished with 1 ace, 2 kills, 1 assist, and 4 digs. Renee Reed ended up with an ace, a kill, and 3 digs. And Kelly Trudeau had 2 aces, 1 kill, and 1 dig for the Tech School in the loss. Well, it was a big opener on Wednesday for the Frontier team, and Frontier Volleyball is pretty special. They're on the path for their potential 10th straight championship in program history, and it all begun on Wednesday as they opened up their season with a nice win over Chicopee Comp. They won the first game 25-12, second game 25-16, third game 25-18. Senior outside hitter Lauren Davenport put down 10 kills, and setter Elizabeth Fuqua ended up with 15 assists in her first action with the team as a new starter. Frontier opened up their season for the second year in a row against Chicopee Comp. Ashley Talega ended up with 5 kills and 3 aces. Also, Burgess and Orlowski ended up with 3 kills apiece. Olivia Dean, Morgan Martineau each ended up with 2 kills on the night. The service attack had really put it down hard. How about this? 24 aces for the Red Hawks. Dean led the way with 9, followed by Davenport with 6, Fuqua with 5. Dean and Riley Eisner ended up with 6 digs in the win. Frontier back in action this week. Well, in high school soccer, it was a 0-0 tie between Pioneer and Mohawk. Turned out to be a pretty special performance for the goalkeeper for Mohawk. You know, she ended up having a very special day, ends up with 17 saves to keep her team literally in this game. I'll tell you, when you get outshot by a team 21-4 and you end up being able to hold your team to a tie, that says a lot about your effort. And according to their coach Steve Tommy said, bottom line is our goalkeeper did a wonderful job. Can't say anything special except for that Emily did everything that she needed to do to be able to keep us in the game, and that's exactly what she did. She did have an all-around effort. We did the best job we could as a team, but we took on a team that's not bad. This soccer program from Pioneer could have a very good season. Unfortunately, they ran into a good goalie in their game on Wednesday. Girls soccer, Greenfield took on Ware back on Wednesday of last week, and it was all Ware in this one. Final score was 11-0. Boy, that's a tough day when you go down 11-0. A tough one there for the Green Wave in girls soccer on Wednesday. Well, on Wednesday in girls soccer, it was Frontier taking on Pope Francis. Frontier pulls off the victory. They pick up a goal in the first half. They pick up 2 goals in the second half for the 3-win victory. Cambry Hamilton ends up with a goal. Natalie Denkowitz ends up with a goal and an assist. Samari Green gets a goal. Jenna Martin with an assist, and Grace O'Leary with an assist as well. By the way, Green, she got a goal, but she also got 7 saves in the goal as well for the Frontier Lady Redhawks. They pick up the victory, girls soccer, on Wednesday, 3-1. Well, it was a tough battle. 2 teams that were very popular and very good last year. It was Belchertown and Frontier in boys soccer. And Frontier definitely has lost a lot of their big players. They're all graduated. Last year was their big year to do well, and that's exactly what they did. They did get beat by Belchertown. That was last Tuesday. Final score was 3-0. Belchertown ends up winning that one with a goal in the first half and 2 goals in the second. Peter Bronke ends up with 3 saves in the net for Frontier. Well, on Wednesday in boys golf, it was Frontier taking on Amherst, and it was all Frontier. This team for Frontier Golf is very special, everybody. This is a very, very good team. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of guys that are coming back, and they have some really good growth of their younger players that are coming up too. Had a chance to talk with their coach this past week. Bill Fitzpatrick said that this team is pretty special, and really we can go 8 or 9 deep, but of course they only have to play 6 to be able to get into match play, and it's nice when you can have 3 other guys that can come in at any time for your team. Frontier picks up the win, 14.5 to 9.5 against Amherst on Wednesday. Let's run down some of the scores. Medalist of the day was Brian Bauman for Frontier. Mikey Kordoff ends up with a 42. Gunnar Moore with a 43. Kyle Maynard, he ends up with a 44. Kalen Evans with a 44. And Rowan Blair with a 49. So think about this. Out of all 6 of their golfers, they all placed under a 50. And that's really good news right there for the Frontier boys golf team. Well, in boys golf on Wednesday, Greenfield took on a very good Munson team. Final score was Munson 20, Greenfield 4. Greenfield's also got a pretty young team too. But I'll tell you what, these kids are really good golfers. And it was a tough match for them in Greenfield over at the Country Club against a very good Munson team. Ryan Cody ends up with a 42 for Greenfield. Gabe LaRoche ends up with a 43. Jake Cody with a 51. Danny Provost 55. Dylan Archer 59. And Nathan Provost with a 64 for Greenfield. In boys golf, it was Turner's Falls taking on East Hampton back on Wednesday of last week, where East Hampton picked up the victory. Final score was 15-9. Alex Sulda ends up with a 52. He's your low man, for Turner's Falls. Brian Poirier with a 53. Joey Mosca with a 54. Aiden Bailey with a 54. Tyler Noyce with a 60. And Joe Koshin with a 60 for Turner's Falls. They get beat 15-9 out in East Hampton last Wednesday. Well, in track and field, it was Frontier taking on Greenfield back on Wednesday. It was Frontier 84, Greenfield 57. I will tell you that they have a couple of guys, Greenfield, that are very talented, that did very well for them. They have Lavorci. He ended up winning the 100-meter with a time of 11.30. He also was able to win the 200-meter at 23 seconds. Braden Robinson ends up winning the 400-meter with a time of 54 seconds. Jack Vasilio wins the 110 hurdles with a time of 17 seconds. The 400 high hurdles goes to Felin Koski. He ends up with a time of 1 minute and 2 seconds. 800-meter goes to Ben Litstoski of Frontier with a time of 2 minutes and 13 seconds. The 1 mile goes to Peter Carey with a time of 5 minutes and 6 seconds. Karsten Carey wins the 2-mile with a time of 10 minutes and 24 seconds. Varsity for Greenfield wins the long jump with a nice one of 18 feet, 9.5 inches. Braden Robinson wins the triple jump with a nice jump of 38 feet, 4.5 inches. High jump goes to Aaron Dew from Greenfield. He had a jump of 4 feet, 10 inches. Matt Carlson wins the shot put for Frontier at 39 feet. Emmanuel for Greenfield ends up winning the javelin at 122 feet. Matt Carlson wins the discus at 99.2. And Jack Versilio wins the pole vault for Frontier, 11 feet, 6 inches. Frontier picks up the victory over Greenfield in boys track and field on Wednesday. Final score again was 84-57. Well, on Wednesday, Greenfield also part of the tri-match was also with Palmer, and Greenfield does win against Palmer. Final score was 95-50. Varsity ends up winning the 100 meter with a time of 11 seconds. Also, the 200 meter he wins with a time of 23 seconds. He wins the long jump at 18 feet and 9.5 inches. Teddy Pop for Greenfield does well in the triple jump at 37 feet, 6.25 inches. Emmanuel wins the javelin at 122. And Teddy Pop wins the pole vault with a nice jump of 10 feet, 6 inches. So there you go. There you go, a little action right there in track and field between Palmer and Greenfield, where Greenfield picks up the win, 95-50. In track and field, it was Pioneer Valley taking on South Hadley on Thursday. It was Pioneer with the victory, 81-64. Scott McDonough, he was the star for Pioneer in this one. He won the 100 meters at 12 seconds. He won the 200 meters at 25 seconds. He won the long jump at 20 feet, 1 inch. He also won the triple jump at 38 feet, 5.75 inches. Also, Jake Wallace wins the high jump at 5 feet. Wilson for the shot put for Pioneer with the win. He ends up with a nice throw of 40 feet. Also, Andrew Pratt for Pioneer. He wins the discus at a nice throw of 113 feet. 9 inches. So there you go. Nice win. Track and field. Pioneer over South Hadley on Thursday. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. We get together here each and every week right here at GCTV. We talk about all the sports of the kids, and we are running down scores. We're in the full-blown season right now. It just got started. So for the next 10 weeks, we won't be able to have a guest because we're going to be rocking and rolling through the fall season, being able to share our sports scores of all these athletes from our 6 schools here in Franklin County. Want you to know that it's so nice to be able to share these great stats and be able to give these kids the accolades they deserve. They work very hard throughout the year. They train, they work hard, they got some pride with their school, and we get to be able to deliver it for you right here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. And it's thanks to the 4-Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue Way in Turners Falls, and by audiologist Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Want to thank our producer, John Meisner, and our co-producer, Philippe Simone. So glad to be able to have these guys be able to take care of the wheels for us. Otherwise, without these guys making sure the wheels are on the bus, they surely would fall, because I know me. I know nothing about the technical part of this at all. I'm so lucky that I just be able to do this part right here, where I can just deliver the message. As we continue on with the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, we get into field hockey. And boy, on Friday, there was a bunch. And Turners Falls took on Mohawk, and they pulled off a big win against a very good team. Final score was 2-1. Amber Taylor picks up a goal. Cassidy Wozniak with an assist. Jade Tyler picks up a goal. And Bryn Tila ends up with an assist. Haley Green has 3 saves for Turners Falls. Nice win over Mohawk. Turners Falls getting a little revenge from last year. Mohawk ends up getting a goal from Sarah Herzik, and Caitlin Johnston ends up with an assist for the Warriors. So the Thunder picking up a 2-1 win over Mohawk in girls field hockey on Friday. Well, on Friday, it was Athol taking on the Franklin County Tech in field hockey. Athol picks up the 4-0 win. I will say that Boleno ended up with 12 saves in the net for the Franklin County Tech. Once again, final score was 4-0 Athol over the Tech School in girls field hockey. Well, in field hockey action on Friday, it was Smith Academy taking on Frontier. Frontier picks up the 2-0 win. They pick up a goal in the first half and a goal in the second half. Lily Spencer picks up a goal. Also, Allison Barnes with a nice assist. Olivia Vasilio also gets a goal on the day. And Skylar Berniski had a nice, easy day in the net. She had 0 saves, so everything was pretty much dominated by Frontier in this victory. That game was played in South Deerfield on Friday. Well, in field hockey, it was Greenfield taking on South Hadley. This Greenfield girls team is unbelievable. They are going to be good in everything. They will be solid in their field hockey program, their basketball program, and their softball program this year. All these ladies that have been playing together for so long are now the senior class. These girls are very talented and very dominant. Greenfield picks up 3 goals in the first half, 2 goals in the second for the 5-1 victory. Olivia Joy ends up with 2 goals and 1 assist. Reagan Hickey with 2 goals. Audrey Brusciano picks up a goal, and Sam Smith in the net ends up with 9 saves for Greenfield in their win over South Hadley. In boys golf on Friday, it was Hampshire taking on Frontier. Frontier picks up the 18-6 victory. It was pretty much a dominated game by Frontier in this one. Gunnar Moore, he is your medalist with a score of 38. Kyle Maynard with a score of 39. Brian Bauman with a score of 40. Rowan Blair, 43. Mikey Kordoff, 45. And Kaylin Evans, a 46. Out of the top 8 golfers, Frontier places 6 out of 8, and they pick up the win, 18-6 on Friday. In boys golf on Friday, it was Greenfield taking on Smith Academy. Greenfield picks up the victory, 18.5 to 5.5. Ryan Cody, he ends up tying for the medalist, ends up with a 46. Gabe LaRoche with a 48. Hunter Roberts with a 50. Jake Cody with a 51. Dylan Archer with a 53. And Cam Baird ends up with a 63 for Greenfield. I will tell you that on the day, Cam Baird ends up with 4 points to lead his team in the victory. In boys soccer, Putnam took on the Franklin County Tech School. That was back on Monday. I tell you, it was a nice win for them. It was just a nice victory that they really needed, and a team that they have not always done well against. For them to pick up that 4-1 win over Putnam is a great win for this team. They're now 2-0 on the season with their victory they had earlier in the season last week. Giovanni Reggiano ends up with 2 goals, 1 assist. Jake LaBelle picks up a goal, and Ruben Galvis ends up with an assist. I will tell you that Ryan Campbell also ends up with a nice assist in this one, and Anthony Baloney ends up with a goal. Grayson Funk in the net ends up with 3 saves on the day. I will tell you that this team, this Franklin County Tech team, is very, very good. They should have an opportunity to get into playoffs like they did last year. They're that good. Well, you know, when we talk about sports, we talk about the fall, we talk about football. It's about the gridiron, baby. And boy, do we got a lot of action that we want to share with you. Grid action that happened over the weekend. Of course, now I want you to know that we now have every school in Franklin County under lights. It was the opening of the Franklin County Tech season under the brand new lights at their field in Turners Falls. That's right, them, and with the new what we call partnership between Pioneer and Turners in football means that Pioneer, who didn't have lights, and the Tech school that didn't have lights, well, now with Pioneer playing at Turners, Turners has always had the lights, and now with the new lights at the Tech school, it's going to be Friday night football all the time now in our area. So if you're planning on trying to find some Saturday football anywhere, well, you're going to have to definitely tune in to something on TV because it'll have to be at a college. It won't be high school here in our area. Well, the new football season began brightly. At least it started that way for the Turners Falls High School team, and that was at home on Friday. First 2 minutes into the game, they end up scoring against Lee High School, but things really started to go downhill after that, and they ended up getting beat 21-7. Kyle Dodge connected with Andy Craver for a 50-yard touchdown pass. That was 1:57 into the game. Tyler Lavin's extra point gave the hosts that 7-0 lead. You know, the sad thing is that the Thunder outgained the Wildcats 211-96 over the first 22 minutes of play, and then things really started to change. Sad to say that they ended up with the loss. Wyatt Keith, one of the 6 former players from Pioneer who came over and now suits up for Turners, he had himself a great game. 19 carries, 107 yards, 89 of those coming in the first half. Dodge completed 7 of 21 for 121 yards with a touchdown, but the big key right here was the 3 interceptions. You know, Coach LaPointe said straight up, we're good. We can't overcome turnovers or misplays. We had quite a few misplays. They're a quality team, and we can't afford to miss those opportunities that we had. Turners Falls takes the loss at home, 21-7 against a very good Lee Wildcats team. Turners Falls, next game comes up this week as they travel out to Athol to take on the Red Raiders. That game will be 7 o'clock on Friday night. Well, Pittsfield definitely ran away with this one when it got to them in Frontier. That was a really tough game for Frontier. They allowed Pittsfield to really take it to them. You know, it's funny because when things got started, it was pretty close at halftime. Final score was 6-0 Frontier. But then 30 unanswered points in the second half. That's what did it. You know, you talk to the head coach of Frontier, Don Gordon says, you know, we really had things going well for us in the first half. Momentum totally changed. Here's the sad part. They ended up making a goal line stand, Pittsfield did, right before halftime. They literally couldn't get the ball in from the 1-yard line. If the Frontier Redhawks were able to score, this could be either a 12 or a even 14-0 lead. And that momentum going in would have been very positive. Instead, they didn't get in at the end of the half, which really took the momentum and really deflated the team going into the locker room for their break. Well, when you don't score from the 1-yard line and then it gets down to the 1-foot line and you still can't score, that changes everything, says Coach Gordon. When you get those kind of opportunities, you got to step it up and you got to show up. And we didn't. They stuck it to us, and now we have to lick our wounds and come back and be able to play better next week. Well, Frontier's only touchdown came on the first drive of the game. That's when Hildreth returned a kickoff for Frontier. Yes, he was on the 35-yard line of the Red Hawks, ran it all the way back, 65 yards for the touchdown. DeForest ended up with 13 carries, 64 yards. That was what he had on the day for Frontier. Big game for Frontier. They take on Greenfield at home Friday night under the lights in South Deerfield. Speaking of Greenfield, R.J. Bird and the Greenfield football team made quite an opening day statement. I'll tell you right now, Bird is going to have a year. I'm going to tell you right now, I will give you this quote right now. This kid will run for 2,000 yards this year. You hear me? He will run for 2,000 yards this year. They have the team to get this done. R.J. Bird ran for 202 yards and 4 touchdowns to lead the Green Wave to the big win, 26-18, over Woodstock Academy, based out of Connecticut. It was an independent game that was played back on Friday night at Vets Field. Greenfield's Hunter Campbell, he ended up recovering one of those nice onside kicks that Woodstock was trying to set up and sort of helped the little momentum that they needed. You know, it got a little sketchy near the end of the game because all of a sudden it was 26-12. Woodstock scored to make it 26-18. Then they got the ball back with 2 minutes left, and it really came down to the defense to be able to hold Woodstock, because if they ended up scoring another touchdown and got the 2-point conversion, they would have gone into overtime. But the bottom line is Greenfield picked up the win. R.J. Bird credited a couple of guys. He said that Phelps to Campbell, that big hookup that they had on a 31-yard play to sort of get things going was pretty special. Campbell ended up making a one-handed grab that was huge for his team. Really nice day for the quarterback of Greenfield, Phelps. He was 7 for 11, 76 yards. By the way, defensive lineman Cam Lackey, he had a great night for the Wave as well. But listen, R.J. Bird said that, listen, when you got an offensive line that gets things done, opens up the holes for me, our quarterback is making plays, this is what a team is all about. R.J. Bird knows that it's going to take everybody to be able to do great things in Greenfield. Greenfield, they travel down to South Deerfield Friday night, 7 o'clock for a big local football game. Just so you know, last year Frontier went to the Super Bowl. Their loss going into the Super Bowl was to Greenfield High School. We'll see how it goes Friday night. Well, we like to say that Bailey Young is talented. Okay, so let's say it. Bailey Young is talented. Under the new lights, the Franklin County Tech School junior tailback ran. He was awesome. How about this? 260 yards on the day, 23 carries, 5 touchdowns, and they beat Mohawk 44-6. He's obviously the most experienced, skilled guy going into the game, according to head coach Joe Gamache. He said that he was awesome. Had a touchdown run of 14 yards, 13 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, and 3 yards. The Eagles pick up the win. They also had over 300 yards in total offense against a very gimpy Mohawk team. This Mohawk team is very shorthanded. It's going to be a long year for their team and Coach McLeod. I will say this. You always get excited, especially on a day where you got lots of new things happening at your school. You're not playing on a Saturday afternoon. You're not getting up in the morning and getting ready to go to the field at 9:30, 10 o'clock. You're now on a Friday night schedule. And that's exactly what it was. And boy, Bailey Young proved that he can do fine on Fridays with 260 yards on 23 carries, 5 touchdowns. You know, if you really think about this team does have some players that are pretty inexperienced. And for them to come out and look as impressive as they did, that says a lot about the Tech School. The Warriors definitely undermanned. They only went with 15 players. That's all they got on their roster, and they have injuries. And I'll tell you right now, that's going to be a scary thought for this team. You know, Sean Davenport, he kept throwing no matter what. He ended up with 3 of his 24 passes that were complete, 2 to Jordan Grenier. Hats goes off to Mohawk because they are pretty much undermanned. It's going to be a tough season for them. I'll tell you right now, though, the Tech School has got to go right back to business. They take on that very tough Lee team that they have to play this week. Mohawk will take on Pathfinder in its home opener this Friday night. Well, it looks like Greenfield picking up a nice victory as they end up winning in girls soccer. Final score was 2-1 over Smith Academy, picking up their first win of the year. And that was nice because after getting beat by Ware 11-0, that worked out really well. And by the way, the first win for the Greenfield girls soccer team in 3 years. Yes, ladies, first soccer victory in 3 years, and they do it on the second game of the season. Great job, ladies. We like to hear the good news. So congratulations goes to the Wave on that great victory. Well, I will say that first-year coach Tina Riddell said the girls were very excited. I was nearly deaf at the end of the game. We celebrated like it was a playoff win. I'm really proud of these girls and impressed that after the tough victory we just had, they came back to pick up the victory. They did great on both offense and defense. So congratulations goes out to Dina Samaki. She earned the win in the net for Greenfield, turning away 13 shots. Nice win for Greenfield. They look for their second win as they take on Pioneer this week. Franklin County Tech girls, they end up winning 2-0 over Westfield Tech back on Friday. They pick up their victory as Brooke Adams buried a goal in each half as the Franklin County Tech got off to a winning start with a 2-0 victory. Dan Praysall said every single girl contributed at some point in the game. We also came out aggressive and we worked together. Nice win for the Tech school. Pioneer girls ended up losing to Ware 3-0. So that Ware team is pretty good. And they end up winning, and Drury knocked off the Mohawk girls 7-0 on Friday. In boys soccer, it was Westfield Tech over the Franklin County Tech back on Friday. They ended up picking up the victory 6-3. Ryan Campbell scored twice as the Eagles ended up with the loss, and Giovanni Reggiano also had a goal in support of Grayson Funk, who turned away 5 shots. Once again, the Tech boys do lose to Westfield Tech. Campbell with 2 for the losers. Well, in field hockey, it was Greenfield over South Hadley. We already talked about that one. That worked out really well for them. And I will tell you that our first week of high school sports was a little on the thin side, but it is definitely off and running. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. We get together each and every week right here on GCTV, also at gctv.org. You know, you can check us out on Facebook too. We get it out there as well. We're on the FCAT down in South Deerfield. Want to thank our producer, John Meisner, also our co-producer, Philippe Simone. You know, we also want to say a big thank you to Chris Collins at the FCAT down in South Deerfield. Thank you to our sponsors, the 4-Leaf Clover Restaurant located in Berniston. Also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield. Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. And by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls. You know, folks, as we continue on with the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, I want to let you know that some cool accolades came out very late that we didn't get a chance to talk about over the summer. So I want to share these special awards on our show today. It is our first show with all of our sports updates for fall, but we want to talk about what happened with the spring sports of last year. Let's get started. Megan Davis ends up winning all Western Mass, all state awards. The junior 2-mile runner ends up winning the Western Mass, Central Mass Division II champion. She also went on to take third in the all-state meet. She took second in the 3,200-meter run at the New England Track and Field Championship. And she competed in the national championship as well. Megan Davis from Mohawk, an all-star. And we want to mention her for her great award this past summer. Riley Eisler of Frontier, the freshman, took second place in the javelin at the Western Central Mass Division II Championships with a throw of 109 feet, 8 inches. What a great throw that was by Riley. Riley, another female star this summer. Aaron LaFond of Mohawk, the junior, took second in the pole vault of the Western Central Division II Championship with a mark of 9 feet, 6 inches. So Aaron LaFond, another female champion this summer. Violet Rawlings of Mohawk, also recognized for her great track and field this past spring, recognized this summer. The senior took second in the discus with a throw of 97 feet, 7 inches at the West Central Division II Championship. Violet Rawlings of Mohawk, another true champion. Courtney Danielson ends up with honorable mention Amy O'Sullivan ends up with honorable mention. And Olivia Vasilio of Frontier gets honorable mentions as special stars this summer. Speaking of Amy O'Sullivan, Westfield State's freshman Amy O'Sullivan made a strong impression in her college debut, earning the Massachusetts State Collegiate Athletic Conference Runner of the Week and Rookie of the Week awards this past week with her great time. O'Sullivan placed fourth at the Trinity Bantam Invitational Cross Country meet that was held in Manchester, Connecticut. She finished with a time of 20 minutes and 18 seconds on her 5-kilometer course. Her efforts helped the Owls take third place as a team in the meet. O'Sullivan and the Owls will be back in competition this weekend as they race against UMass Dartmouth at their invitational meet. Congratulations to Amy O'Sullivan of Greenfield, formerly of Greenfield High School, now running for Westfield State. The great honor of the Runner of the Week and the Rookie of the Week for Westfield State. Awesome stuff right there. As we continue on with our awards that we have for the spring of last year, let's get right into softball. Awful lot of those awards. Here we go. Natalie Denkowitz of Frontier, the sophomore, one of the top hitters on the team, had multi-hit games against Turner's Falls, Greenfield, and others, the top teams here in our area. Natalie is a star. Lizzie Howland of Greenfield, the senior, was key in her role as a catcher at the plate. She did well how about this? She had at least 9 multi-hit games over the course of the season, including a 2-for-2 day at the plate with a double during the team's Western Mass Championship win. Lizzie Howland of Greenfield, another star. Olivia Joy, the junior, one of the top pitchers in the region, threw 2 no-hitters over the course of the season, struck out 200 over 114 innings. She is another star. Samantha Smith, one of the top all-around athletes right here in the region. She is also a star. One of the top hitters on her team, helped their team win a Western Mass title, had at least 6 home runs and multiple hits in nearly every game that she played. She is another superstar. Second team selection, Charlotte Doulette of Frontier, Reagan Hickey of Greenfield, and Mackenzie Patterson of Frontier. Congratulations goes out to our female stars. Also, I can tell you that in boys baseball, Hunter Campbell from Greenfield High School was given one of those honors. Also, the boys, Ben Arnold, Dylan Appenell, and a couple of the other guys on the team at Frontier got that special award that they were looking for the hard work their team put in a very tough loss to Taconic in the Western Mass Championship. Frontier baseball, very solid, and they have a very bright future. All right, so we had a chance to run down our scores. We had a chance to run down our special awards that were given over the summer. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a little recap of what happened over the summer. I will tell you that we had many of our local teams who did very well in many things. How about the Post 81 boys team? They had a great run. They lost to a very good Pittsfield program in Post 81 baseball. It was a very solid season for the Greenfield Post 81 team. Their coach, Kyle Phelps, was very impressed with these guys, as he should be. Even the Junior Legion team had a great year for Greenfield over the summer. You know, the Greenfield Minor League, Their 11-year-old tournament team had a chance to go to the New England Regionals, only the second team ever to be able to go to a New England Regional. So congratulations goes out to Coach Aaron Campbell and the kids and their coaching staff on a great run to be able to go to the New England Regionals in Cal Ripken baseball. You know, the Crush and a lot of these other great teams, the Heat, these teams that are great softball programs coming out of the Greenfield Girls Softball League, I'll tell you, awesome stuff right there. We have great talent when it comes to girls softball in this region. They made some noise as well. You know, you talk about the basketball leagues. There's a lot of really good basketball leagues, especially the one up at Indoor Action that gets these kids to be able to play some summer ball, sort of getting them prepped, getting them ready for their fall sports, and of course, sliding right into the winter season. We're very fortunate to have that as well around here. You know, I even was pretty impressed that some of the kids even had a chance to do some tennis opportunities as well. You know, you really think about the talent that a lot of these kids have around here. We don't realize this, but we're very lucky to be able to have a very talented group of athletes that are right here in our area. I mean, we couldn't be more blessed than we are right now. I was really thinking about this the other day. Franklin County, if we ever had to merge all of these athletes into a regional school district, I think a lot of these schools in this area would be in a lot of trouble because we do have that many good, talented kids that are still playing ball or doing some kind of sport. Even if you think about it, some of our sports that we're not really known for, like golf and things like that, well, you know what? We are now. This Frontier golf team this year is going to be pretty special. This will be a very special team for them. They have a mission. I had a chance to talk to their head coach, Bill Fitzpatrick, and he said, listen, we had 3 goals: stay healthy, win Western Mass, try to win the states. Those are good goals. I like the first one, because if they do stay healthy, they are good enough to win Western Mass. They are good enough to win their league easily, and they could win the states. I like this team. This Frontier golf team is legit. Football, Greenfield High School has a very good team. Turners, with the new addition of Wyatt Keith being able to run the ball, and the talent of Kyle Dodge at quarterback, and the good receivers and the good players that they have, they're a pretty good team. Frontier, yeah, they had a rough start. They end up getting beat by Pittsfield, but they're going to have a battle with Greenfield. It's going to be a great football game later this week on Friday night, 7 o'clock down in South Deerfield. This Tech team, well, Coach Gamache will tell you, we'll have to see what happens. Well, they started off on a good note, big 44-6 win over Mohawk. Going to be a tough year for Mohawk football. 15 suited players, couple of injuries, they're in big trouble. You know, you think about field hockey, you always have Frontier, you always have Greenfield. Solid teams. Don't count out Turner's Falls this year, folks, and don't count out Mohawk either. We have some very good field hockey this year. Volleyball, hey, we've always talked about Frontier. The Frontier Lady Redhawks going for their 10th, yes, let me say that again, 10th Western Mass Championship, maybe a state title. How about this? They're going for their 10th state title. They've already got 13 Western Mass Championships in a row. Let me say that again. 13 Western Mass Championships in a row. That is amazing for any program. And for Coach Todd McDonald to be able to do this year after year after year down in South Deerfield is pretty special. Now, what about the soccer programs. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this Franklin County Tech School team, they got a lot of really good players. They could have a really good year this year. Could be a very good run for them. Frontier was the team that had the great team last year. But you know what's going to happen? They're going to take a couple steps back because of all the seniors that they lost. They lost a tough match already this year to a very tough Belchertown team, 3-0. Girls, soccer, Frontier girls, they're going to do well. They'll have a very good team. Frontier cross country, phenomenal. They are going to have a phenomenal season. And I'm going to tell you right now, you watch out, because this team is legit, a legit program. I will tell you right now that Frontier will fare very well again this fall in their sports programs. You know, I think about Mohawk and I talk about Mohawk cross country. What more can we say about Coach Joe Chadwick and what he's done for years and years? This guy literally elected into the high school Hall of Fame as the winningest coach of all time out of a little community town of Buckland, Massachusetts, in the region of Mohawk Trail Regional Sports. And he did it with track and field and with cross country. This guy, nobody knows much about, but you know what? He's a winner, his team are winners, and his athletes are winners. And I'll tell you why. Because he knows how to prepare these kids to get them ready. And you know that Megan Davis is going to do some special things this year for Mohawk. Those girls are going to have a very special year. So when you really think about it, you look around, you say, hey, we got some great golf teams, we have some great football teams, we have some great field hockey teams, we have some great volleyball teams, cross-country teams. We have good athletics here. That's why we do this show each and every week for you, because these kids do work hard. They put the time in, and we need to make sure that we get a chance to recognize them. You know, as I get into it'll be 3 years in February, so we're 2.5 years in. I think about the great things that we've been able to share in the great interviews we've had with many great individual athletes, coaches, and even the great team of Jeff Terrell and Sean Hubert. 28 years together behind the mic, doing high school games together. 28 years for this team of Sean Hubert and Jeff Terrell. That's very hard to find. And to find a radio station that's willing to be able to broadcast those games is even more impressive. So as we sit here today and we get ready for the fall season, we want you to know that these kids deserve everything they get. And we deserve to be able to share that right here with you each and every week on GCTV, gctv.org, the FCAT in South Deerfield. And we also throw it up on Facebook for you too, so you can be able to see it. And then you can log right in and boom, you can enjoy each and every week. You know, I get so many people that come up to me and say, Bobby C., thank you for what you do. You don't have to thank me. You need to thank the athletes. That's who you need to thank. Because if it wasn't for the athletes doing what they do, there would be no Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. It's all about the kids. And as long as we continue to remember that, this show will continue for a long time to come. So as we get ready to sort of wind down our show here today, and I do have a couple of things I still want to share, I do want you to understand that get out, support these kids. Our numbers are down in a lot of sports, but wouldn't it be nice to know that the community would step up to be able to cheer these kids on? Maybe if they saw more fans showing up at these games, maybe they would get a little bit more excited about wanting to be able to, you know, be there. I think a kid gets excited when they have fans. I always said that it was always a rush when you went to a game and you were in the big game and all of a sudden the stands were packed with fans. You know, playing football my whole high school career, being able to play basketball, and I played baseball as well. It was awesome. High school sports was just an incredible thing. I remember the Greenfield Turners football game with 4,000 fans at Greenfield High School on Thanksgiving morning. Let me say that again. I played football in front of 4,000 fans at GHS, between GHS and Turners, back in the 80s. You know, if we can get even 800 fans or 700 fans to show up, that's considered a big deal. We need to get out, support these kids, come in with some good energy and positivity, and show your spirit for your school. And as we get ready to wind down our first official week of all the sports scores, which was a little light, believe it or not, this is considered light. Next week, we're going to have a lot more because we're going to have everybody ready to go for the new season. Once again, for the final time, I want to thank our sponsors, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue Way in Turners Falls, and Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. For all of us here at GCTV, our producer John Meisner, our co-producer Philippe Simone, I'm your host Bobby C., and don't forget about Chris Collins and the staff down at the FCAT in South Deerfield. Until we do it again next week, have a great week, and please support your local athletes.